Hello everyone and welcome back to the Hurricane HQ. In this video we are going to be going over the potential for severe thunderstorms on the east coast of the United States and what kind of impacts we could be seeing from these severe thunderstorms. And while there is also a risk of severe thunderstorms in Texas today, we are going to be mainly focusing on the east coast system as it is a bit more widespread and it looks like where we have the highest chances for severe weather and possibly even some tornadoes as we go into later today. So now as we take a look at our current severe weather outlook here for the United States, you can see over on the East Coast, we have a slight risk for severe thunderstorms. This extends all the way from Pennsylvania and New Jersey down into South Carolina over here. And this looks like our area where we are going to have the highest potential for severe weather as we go into later this afternoon and evening. And we also have a marginal risk for severe thunderstorms. This extends all the way from portions of Florida down here up through New Jersey, New York, and Pennsylvania. So I feel like in those two regions, the marginal and slight risk is going to be our greatest chance for severe thunderstorms today, specifically in that slight risk area though, as that is where we have higher wind probabilities, tornado probabilities, and even hail probabilities today. So a bunch of things are going to be coming together for this. We also have a slight risk here in Texas for some severe thunderstorms and a marginal risk just surrounding that, as we do have the potential for severe thunderstorms over there, although we're going to be mainly focusing on the East Coast in this video. So now taking a look at our tornado outlook specifically, you can see that our greatest risk for tornadoes is going to be extending all the way from about New York and Pennsylvania down here into the Carolinas, so coastal Carolinas, and then moving north here into Virginia, Maryland, Delaware, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, and very far southern New York. We do have the risk for some isolated tornadoes. There's only a 2% risk, but a 2% is definitely a chance. So definitely watch out for an isolated spin-up or two within this 2% area, as there is definitely potential for some tornadoes here. Although generally it doesn't look to be a tornado-driven event because it just appears to be that the wind and hail threats are going to be a lot higher. It just is not a tornado threat as great as, for example, the one that happened on April 1st. Definitely not anything like that. This is just a small event and potentially a few isolated spin-ups, maybe a tornado or two, but likely very weak. Now let's take a look at our wind outlook here. You can see we have a 5% here for wind. And this 5% here is just highlighting the potential for some of those thunderstorm wind gusts, which could get to the severe category, although the highest potential for those severe thunderstorm wind gusts are likely to be within that slight risk area here. This area right here in the yellow is a 15%, and the same exact area as our slight risk is. So if you are in that slight risk, which I mentioned earlier, then you have the potential for some strong winds, potentially severe thunderstorm winds, which is a wind gust over 60 miles per hour in some of these storms. And now as we take a look at our hail outlook, you can see not everyone is in it if you're in the slight risk, but much of it, the central and southern portion of that slight risk, is just about all of you are in this hail risk here. So you have the potential for some damaging hail. That's a 15% chance there. And then in this brown area, we have a slightly lower probability of about 5%. And this does extend all the way into northern Florida and up into extreme southern New Jersey and Pennsylvania. So all hazards are possible today with that severe weather. Wind and hail especially, but also the potential for some some tornadoes and maybe an isolated flash flood as well. Now let's take a look at our future precipitation here. On portions of the East Coast, you can see we have storms developing in the Carolinas, Virginia, and it really just does it forms a line of thunderstorms extending all the way from the South Carolina up into portions of New Jersey, Pennsylvania, and possibly even New York there. That is where we have some potential there. for some severe thunderstorms. Although, again, in that slight risk area is where our highest probabilities will be for severe weather. So you could just watch this line does form, gets pretty organized, especially when it hits areas over here. This is one big area, anywhere from like Norfolk up to Baltimore, Washington, possibly even Philadelphia, could be seeing the potential for some severe thunderstorms, and I'd say especially damaging winds as a threat today. Now let's take a look at some of those ingredients which are going to be coming in to create this threat. So first of all, temperatures across much of the East Coast will be pretty warm. You can see temperatures in Pennsylvania in the 60s and getting down to the 70s, maybe even 80s for portions of South Carolina, but generally the lower to mid 70s, maybe some upper 70s in some areas for temperatures generally in our slight risk area. And that does extend all the way from just about over here and downwards here. That is our slight risk area. So definitely temperatures are going to be conducive for some severe thunderstorm development as we go into the next few days. But specifically today is our severe weather risk, and maybe some very isolated storms tomorrow, but likely staying below the severe limits for a majority of those impacted. Now, if we take a look at our atmospheric instability here, you can see that we have some decent CAPE here across much of the region. There is some CAPE over here as well, but in this frame, it's just not visible. But as you can see, this entire area right here is definitely getting ample CAPE here and ample instability to fuel some of these thunderstorms, which is especially good, especially in some of these areas like North Carolina, Virginia, and South Carolina especially. You have high areas of instability, and even over here in the Delmarva area, definitely some high instability, which is very good for severe thunderstorm development. That's what we want to see if when we are looking at if storms will develop or not. So since we do have instability, definitely chances for severe weather development, especially along the eastern coast. Closer to the coast you are, usually the higher you have of severe weather is today, as these storms will be developing. And I'd say that for these regions here, if you live in coastal Virginia, North Carolina, or South Carolina, the coasts have the potential to be seeing some of the worst storms today. But as you go into areas like the Delmarva up here, eastern Pennsylvania and New Jersey, I'd say that risk is a little bit more inland. This area here specifically is where we're getting the highest CAPE, and it looks like the highest severe weather threat will be remaining slightly more inland than the coast will provide, especially because the coast will be cooling down some temperatures, and you can even see that on here. This little area of low instability is actually where we have cooler temperatures because of the ocean right here. So the immediate coastlines could be seeing slightly weaker storms, but once you go a little bit inland in some of those areas, that's where we have our higher severe weather probabilities. Now, as we take a look at our significant tornado parameter, what this basically shows is what our risk for seeing tornadoes are today. And you can see that our risk for tornadoes is pretty significant across these areas. I wouldn't say significant, but there's definitely a risk for a few isolated tornadoes in some of these areas. I'd say North and South Carolina, you're in that area, and the Delmarva, eastern Pennsylvania, and western New Jersey, you're also seeing that potential for some tornado development as we go into later today. So during these severe events like this, these linear storm setups where we have a line of storms, tornadoes are usually not the main issue, but you never know, especially because we could be seeing some cells forming within this line, which could become tornadic. So always pay attention to the warnings, and if a tornado warning is issued for your area, make sure that you take the proper precautions and take shelter indoors on the lowest floor of a building in an interior room away from windows. Now, as we take a look at our supercell composite, this is basically showing not tornadoes specifically, but the types of storms we can commonly spawn tornadoes, which are supercells. And we definitely have an elevated risk for some supercell development in portions of eastern Pennsylvania, western New Jersey, and the Delmarva Peninsula, as well as in areas of South and North Carolina. Some of these isolated areas have a slightly higher chance for some of those supercells to develop, and they'd likely be embedded supercells within the line of storms. And again, that is where we have to be paying attention for some of the supercell development, which could also cause some tornadoes to potentially develop. So I'd say these two areas I just highlighted are the two areas you really want to be paying attention to if you're watching out for some tornado development. And now we'll take a look at our dew points. I'm not sure what happened to the news bar up there, but here are our dew points for portions of the East Coast. And as you can see, decent dew points. We're seeing upper 50s and 60s across Pennsylvania and New Jersey, lower 60s in the Delmarva and Maryland, and we're also seeing mid 60s in eastern Virginia, eastern North Carolina, and eastern South Carolina. I'd say South Carolina and eastern North Carolina at the highest 2 points, probably in the upper 60s, maybe even reaching 70, which is very conducive for thunderstorm development. So in those areas, you definitely want to be watching out. I feel like some of the best ingredients are going to be held closer to the coastlines, but if you are still inland, still need to watch out, as we definitely have potential for severe thunderstorm development in those areas. And one of the cities which are actually going to be impacted by the severe weather today is Virginia Beach in Virginia. Here's a weather forecast for them. So today, 75 degrees with clouds in the day, and that will eventually lead into strong to severe thunderstorms in the afternoon and evening. Winds gusting 15 to 25 miles per hour, with a chance of rain being moderate. And then as we move into the night, you can see our temperatures will decrease a bit to around 75 degrees. Thunderstorms early in the evening, leading into evening. Hold on. Thunderstorms will be early in the evening, and then as you move into later that night, in the overnight hours, we're looking at the potential for some light rain. Wind gusts of 10 to 20 miles per hour are also possible, and the chance of rain is also pretty high during the evening and overnight hours. Now I'd like to thank everyone for watching this video. I know it's been a while since I posted a video on my channel, and I will actually be getting back into that. And I actually just started working on my green screen setup, so hopefully soon I'll have my green screen working and ready for use within the next week or so, and I can start making more regular weather updates on there. So that will be interesting to see once that's set up. But yeah, thank you for watching this video. I would like to wish everyone a happy Earth Day, and if you are wondering what should we do on Earth Day, I'd recommend just review your routine that you would normally have every day, and just think, what could I do to positively impact the environment? Maybe switch from plastic straws to paper straws at home. That's always one change you can do. Or just brainstorm some other ideas, and anything really does help. So anything that is a little bit better for the environment that you could change in your routine, I recommend exploring some of those options and possibly even executing some of those. Now, if you'd like to check out some of my other social links, my website is thehurricanehq.org. My Twitter is @thehurricanehq, and my Instagram is the same. And my YouTube, which you're watching now, is youtube.com/thehurricanehq. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you'd like to see more videos like this, I definitely recommend you subscribe to the channel. And have a great Earth Day, and have a great rest of your day.